Just remember, because someone is attractive and articulate and they have nice clothing does not make them wise. It does not make them intelligent. And let's have the attractive and articulate Governor Nikki Haley prove my point.
I guess I would say that in some ways I thought, listening to you, that the Republican Party may be a little bigger tent. There's some disagreement. Even today you were talking about the different candidates. You don't agree with all the candidates. Is that right?
No, and of course, and they don't all agree with me. I mean, that's part of the presidential process, so they were asking me, is this all about Trump? And I said, look, Mr. Trump, I consider him a friend. He gave me donations in the past, but I disagree with the fact that he wants to start using religion as a way to divide people. That's not how we've ever done things in this country.
Well, he's not using religion to divide people. He's trying to protect people. Again, the reason he wants to put a temporary ban on Muslims coming in the country, oh my goodness, maybe even Muslims from Turkey, our NATO ally, is because in Turkey, 1 in 5 says that ISIS represents Islam. That would mean, mathematically, that 1 in 5 people coming from Turkey believe that ISIS represents Islam. Are you following me? So, I'm running out of time. Let me make a couple of therefores for you. Donald Trump has given us permission to be the rabble at the gate. So has Ted Cruz, by the way. And so has Carson, Dr. Carson. The rabble at the gate saying, we've had it with Mitch McConnell. We've had it with John Boehner. We've had it with you, Nikki Haley. All right? And as we have this opportunity to have a revolution, there's a couple of fundamentals you have to understand. Ethics matter. Donald Trump's ethics matter. If he becomes president, let's see what he does with child killing and marriage, okay? That's number one. Number two, don't trust the old guard. Don't trust the pro-life, pro-family groups who have led us into total defeat. Don't trust them. Don't give them money. Don't give money to political parties. And oh my goodness, when you're done watching me right now, find the debate, because the next Republican debate is on in 30 minutes. Go watch it. Yes, you, go watch the debate. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Did you happen to see the clip of Nikki Haley singing Kumbaya? I mean, it wasn't exactly Kumbaya. She was on Greta Van Susteren. Let me play a portion of that clip for you. Go ahead, roll tape.
Governor, you're equal opportunity. You took off after the Democrat, the President of the United States, but also you gave your own party a little hell. Were you talking about Donald Trump?
Yeah, I was talking about a lot of people. Certainly Mr. Trump was one of them. But, what we learned last year in Charleston was we went through a lot of challenges. But the way we got through the Walter Scott issue, the way we got through the Mother Emanuel issue, the way we got through the 1,000-year flood was by listening to each other, by making sure that we heard what everyone needed and then getting there. And so I just worry when we get irresponsible with the way that we talk. Our goal is to make everyone feel welcome. Our goal is to make sure we work together. Our goal is to make sure that we have immigrants here coming here legally and not illegally. And so when you talk about that, you have to make sure that Republicans and Democrats know that their ways of talking, their ways of communicating has to be responsible.
All right, I wanted to laugh. I'm thinking, stop with me for a second. I want everyone to feel welcome. Well, if you're running a Hilton, all right, a Motel 6, we'll leave the lights on, fine. But we don't want baby killers to feel welcome. I don't know any other way to say this. She was doing mixing and matching. Okay, yes, they had a horrifying tragedy with the killing at the church, and they had a bad, bad flood. In a situation like that, yes, she said, we want to hear what people have, what their needs are. We want to take care of it. I get that. But then she went off into, we have to be responsible. We want everyone to feel welcome, everyone to feel part of the debate. This has been a problem from square one with the religious right and the pseudo-conservatives and fake conservatives from square one. who would say, I'm flipping it on her, who would say, we just want a place at the table. You remember that line? You remember that line? I just want a place at the table. I don't want a place at their table. I want to turn their table into firewood. And then David wrote, King David in Psalm 23, the Lord shall prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. I don't want to be at Planned Parenthood's table. I don't want them at mine. And by the way, I'm not going to play the clip tonight, but she also gave her little, tip of the hat to same-gender marriage, betraying her own professed Christian faith. Okay? God Almighty doesn't evolve. His laws don't change, Nikki. So what we really see Nikki doing is being a mouthpiece for the squishy, treacherous Benedict Arnold Republicans who want to get true Christians and conservatives back on the margins where they belong, not leading the fight. Well, all I can say is thank you, Donald Trump, for exposing yet again another person made from the same stuff as Mitch McConnell, John Boehner, and now we see Nikki Haley. May she join John Boehner soon in political exile. Friend, this TV show represents a mission. It's to be a voice of resistance to the evil in the land, but also to inspire people like you to take a stand at any level that you might be able to equip you, to inspire you, to challenge you, to give you the rhetorical ammunition that you need. But we still have to pay bills. This program, as you know, if you're a regular viewer, we don't spend a lot of time raising money. We don't spend a lot of time saying, oh, you need to buy this and we're going to run. No, we're bringing you a message, but we still have bills that we need to pay. I'm asking you, if you have been blessed by this show, to please go to our website or send a check to the address you see on the screen or call the phone number that you see on the screen and use your credit card and to give $50 or $100 or $500 just to help us meet our normal expenses. And we'll keep bringing you this hard-hitting show. The beautiful thing about living in a cartoon world is that you can hear voices, the little voices and the bubbles, you know what I mean? They pop over your head and things go on. I could hear people saying, what do you mean ISIS does represent Islam? Let me explain. Let me do a compare and contrast. For example, the Catholic Church gets to speak for itself. All right? We don't get to decide what the Catholic Church should mean when it says only men will be priests, abortion is murder, contraception is against natural law, marriage is between a man and a woman. Okay, we don't get to choose what the Catholic Church teaches. Okay, the Catholic Church gets to choose. Number one. Number two, if a rogue nun comes along and says, the Catholic Church needs to come into the 21st century and we need to have women priests and we need to lighten up on birth control and abortion is acceptable in some heartbreaking situations. And why should two people of the same gender be denied a lifelong commitment of love just like heterosexual people? If a nun comes forward and says that, or a priest, okay, or a bishop, though wearing the garb of the Catholic community, they in no way reflect the teachings of the Catholic Church. They are not representing Catholicism at that point. Catholicism as a theological, philosophical school of thought from which emanate laws, okay? Behavioral laws within the church, but also civil laws. Civil laws. That's why the Catholic Church holds that abortion should be a criminal act, a crime, all right? So stay with me. I'm just pointing this out. I'm using it as a compare and contrast, all right? So here it is. Now here's Islam. Islam gets to define itself. And Islam was founded and defined and exemplified by a man named Muhammad. Okay? Muhammad, the founder of Islam, born in 570, died in 632, spent his life on the Arabian Peninsula, made maybe a few trips to Syria trading with his uncle, traveling with his uncle to go on trade caravans. Muhammad's example and his words define Islam. Doesn't matter if a mullah or an imam or the head of an Islamic study center says blank. If what that person says is in contradiction to what Muhammad said and did, he doesn't represent Islam, the imam or the mullah, any more than the nun represents Catholicism. Okay? In the Quran, Muhammad said he got a revelation from Gabriel that said, "This day I have perfected your religion for you and chosen Islam as your religion." Okay? This is allegedly, I don't believe it for a second, but this is allegedly God through Gabriel speaking to Muhammad saying, "I have perfected your religion." In the Quran, it says, "He who obeys the messenger of Allah has obeyed Allah." So that's Muhammad saying, do what I just say to do, follow my example. In fact, the Quran says, in Muhammad, you have an excellent example to follow. Okay? So we see ISIS, and ISIS is capturing women and turning them into sex slaves. Most of us in the civilized world find this demonic, repugnant, criminal, vile, despicable, the perpetrators of which deserve to be executed, okay? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Muhammad, in his life, had sex slaves. Muhammad led his troops. They captured Khaybar. They killed the men. Muhammad killed Kinana, who was one of the leaders of the city and was the chief treasurer of the city. Had fire built on his chest, had his head chopped off, and then he took his young bride, Safiya. She was 19 years old. Some say she was 17. All of the accounts say that she was drop dead beautiful. Muhammad had a thing when he would take a city, capture the city, kill the men. He had a thing, an ongoing thing for picking the most beautiful of the women captives for his own sex slave. Sometimes, as in the case of Safiya, he made her a wife. So Safiya began as one of Muhammad's sex slaves, and then he said, no, I'm going to make her a wife. And he made her wear the veil. In fact, his men were sitting around campfire one night saying, hey, Muhammad got Safiya. She's a real looker, isn't she? Do you think that he's going to make her one of the mothers of the believers, mothers of the faithful? That was the nickname that they gave for Muhammad's multiple wives. Aisha is the mother of the faithful, mother of the believers. All Muhammad's wives were called that. So they said, well, will she become one of the mother of the believers, or will she be his lady slave that his right hand possesses? A sex slave. And they said, we'll know by whether or not he makes her wear the veil. He put the veil on her, and they said, okay, she's a wife. Muhammad had Rayhana of the Jewish tribe of the Banu Qurayza. She was his sex slave. He had Maria, who was the Coptic Christian, who was sent as a slave to Muhammad. Oh, and by the way, ISIS said that a man cannot have two sisters as sex slaves. Why? If you can have one woman as a sex slave, why not her sister as well at the same time? Because Muhammad said no. Muhammad was sent two Christian slaves from the Copts, Maria and her sister. And Muhammad gave the sister away to one of his friends to be his sex slave, but he kept Maria. And Muhammad said, no, you can't have two sisters as sex slaves. And so that's what ISIS is doing. Do you see how this works? They actually do represent Islam. Now, I just focused on women. We could talk about hostage taking. We could talk about beheading. We could talk about them forcing certain minorities to pay the tax for protection. like gangland thieves, okay? It all comes right from the life of Muhammad. It all comes right from the Hadith. It's all there. So what that shows is that there are 21% of the Turkish people who actually take Islam seriously. They don't only read the Quran, they read the Hadith. They read the Siras, the biographies of Muhammad. And they read the same books that you and I can read. Yep, look at that. Muhammad captured that city, killed those men, cut their heads off, took the girls as sex slaves, sold some of them at a slave market so he could buy horses and weapons. Yep, that's what ISIS is doing. They represent Islam. They're reading it, they see it, they're calling it as it is. So we have to be appalled at their honesty, but also we have to admire it. You have to admire it. When 21% of the people in an Arabic country, in a Muslim country rather, Turkey's not Arabic, in a Muslim country like Turkey, admit, yes, ISIS does represent Islam, then we need to step back and take a deep breath and say, okay, I'm not sure what Obama means when he says we're not at war with Islam, or Islam's not at war with us. I'm not sure what Obama means when he says Islam is a religion of peace. I'm certainly not sure what I could believe or not believe with all these imams and mullahs getting on TV saying, oh, Islam is a religion of peace. But you know what? If a NATO ally, 21% of their people who are claimed to be devout Muslims say ISIS represents Islam, we have to step back. We have to do a little bit more research. We have to take this a little bit more seriously. Because, friends, the Turkish people in that poll, the 21%, they're right. Islam speaks for itself, and it's based upon Muhammad's life, his example, his words, and guess what? ISIS is trying to model itself exactly according to the books on Muhammad's life, and they're doing a tragically, hideously good job. Christians must be involved in government, period. If Christians weren't involved in government, we would not have a United States of America. And there have been brilliant Christian minds over the centuries, such as John Locke, who is called the philosopher of American liberty. He was quoted by Clarence Thomas in his recent dissent on the homosexual marriage decision. If we don't understand John Locke, we don't understand the founding of America. I want to send you this book and my book, The Sword, subtitled The Blessing of Righteous Government and The Overthrow of Tyrants. I want to send you these two books for a gift of whatever you can afford. Pay the $8 shipping and handling, which does not cover our costs, and then give a gift of whatever size you want, and we'll send you these books. If you cannot afford anything but the $8, can't even afford that, write us a note, and we'll send them to you for free. I want you to have these books so that you can be better equipped to fight in the political arena. Come on, order them today. The good ship Lollipop has in fact set sail, and we are using it for rhetorical target practice. Hope you'll join us. We're going to talk again about Nikki Haley, and oh my goodness, look at what just came out of Turkey. Some polling data. Obama should find this interesting. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance.
Those who forsake the law praise the wicked. Those who uphold the law resist them. Welcome to the Voice of Resistance. Here's your host, Randall Terry.
Sometimes I feel like I'm living in a fantasy world, like a cartoon world, where they mix. You've seen the cartoons where they actually would bring Michael Jordan in and then Bugs Bunny cartoon characters. You've seen this, right? Yeah, Space Jam. So I'm going to suit up. I'm going to suit up, ladies and gentlemen. I've got just the piece of attire so that I'm qualified to discuss all things political. I can fit right in with the likes of, say, Nikki Haley, the governor of South Carolina. She's like a cartoon character, or Obama, for that matter. He doesn't have a grasp on reality. He's throwing out a bone to Joe Biden at the last minute saying he's going to make him in charge of curing cancer. It would be funny if it wasn't so offensive. Anyway, my wife said I cannot wear my Bugs Bunny tie for the whole show. Can we do a tight shot on this? You guys, you're my heroes. Is there more reality with Bugs Bunny and friends? All right, it would be funny if it wasn't so sad. It is actually fun right now. But before I go, I want to say something to our regular loyal viewers. Number one, I thank you for the privilege that you have given me of coming into your home night after night. We get letters, emails from all over the country, people watching us on television, and from people who take the time to fire up their computer and watch it on your computer. I really appreciate the honor. But I'm going to go a step further. And forgive me, the Bible says, let the lips of another praise thee and not thy own. So if I can quote people who are writing to me saying that this is their favorite show, that people who say they just found me recently and they can't stop watching, and people who talk about how our analysis of the situation, our analysis of the situations that we're dealing with are accurate, our coverage of Islam is spot on. We get a lot of high praise, and I thank you for that, those of you who write us. But I want you to know that for those of you who do watch on a regular basis, I consider it an honor, and you're not being shortchanged. Yesterday evening's program, I mentioned that Obama's line about curing cancer was right out of a West Wing episode. Now, I had not heard any human soul say that. I said something to my wife. We were sitting there watching the debate, the State of the Union, and I said to her, do you remember the episode from West Wing? That's coming right out of West Wing. And then I talked about it with you on the next day. And then only to learn that a whole bunch of people were commenting on it and spreading around on the internet. I'm sure they didn't get it from me, but I didn't get it from them. And I went after Nikki Haley, and I'm going to do it again on today's program, and to find out that Rush Limbaugh went after her as well. And I consider Rush the greatest broadcaster alive today. All right, my hat goes off to him. His analysis is usually spot on. But all of that to say, I take this show seriously, and I'm doing what I can to bring you what I pray, please God, is a God-centered, Christ-centered, law of God-centered analysis of the news. And I'll do my best. For those of you who are watching on computer, it takes you about 22 minutes to get through an episode. Those of you watching on TV, about 29 minutes. I'll do my best to make this program something that you can look forward to and then not be disappointed, that I will meet your expectations, as it were. Also, I ask your prayers. For those of you who are given to prayer, who take prayer seriously, who believe not only in God, but in the ability to seek Him and to get an answer from Him, we need your prayers. We are finishing this series on Muhammad. We have changed the name, keeping it a secret right now, but we've changed the name, and it's going to be really something. It really is. In fact, you know what? Let's use the rest of this segment to start on ISIS. We'll circle back around to Nikki Haley. A poll was recently taken of people in Turkey. 21% believe that ISIS represents Islam. 1 in 5 people in Turkey, okay, a NATO ally. Let the full weight of that sink in on you. 1 in 5 people in Turkey, a NATO ally, believe that ISIS represents Islam. And guess what? Those 21% are correct. Thanks to friends like you, we have state-of-the-art cameras and state-of-the-art teleprompters and state-of-the-art gear here in the studio. We have one big need, however. We have not yet been able to upgrade our computers. The computers that we use for a television broadcast or to create a documentary are not like the kind that you can just go buy at Best Buy. They are expensive because it takes so much horsepower to create TV series and or documentaries. So I'm asking you, if you want to see this show grow and you want to see us finish the What Would Muhammad Do series, help us get these computers. 3 computers that we need right now are going to be just shy of $20,000. That's the kind of horsepower that we need. Go to the GoFundMe page you see right there. Watch the pilot for What Would Muhammad Do? And if you like the show, give us a gift.